Good morning, everyone, and for those of you on the East Coast, good afternoon. My name is Jeff Perry. Thank you for joining us today for this interactive webinar titled, Are All of Your Client Relationships Worth Seven Figures Annually? Now, joining us today is Alex Sonkin, one of the top advisors in the country who has been working with CPA firms and their biggest clients for the past 5 years and regularly closes cases that generate over $250,000 in compensation. Moving to this unique model has enabled Alex to create a lot more time for his family and what's most important to him. We asked Alex to join us to share how he got here and how simple this is for advisors to enjoy the same success Alex has. Alex, welcome.
Thanks for having me, Jeff. How are you today?
I'm doing great.
Awesome.
Really good. Okay, let's start out with some questions. Alex, what were you doing before you met Anthony Lombardi?
First of all, thanks so much for having me, and I appreciate everyone joining us here today for this interactive webinar. What was I doing before I met Anthony Lombardi? I was, I guess, a typical advisor. I was doing dinner events, dinner workshops, spending maybe $75,000 to $100,000 a year on expensive steakhouses, mailings, and doing a lot of follow-up, chasing end users around, as I call it now. Back then, it was work. Now I look at it as a lot of brain damage. When I use the term brain damage, it didn't feel like brain damage at the time, but when you're closing, 10 to 20% of the people that you meet with, and meaning you're not closing 80 to 90%, that 80 to 90% becomes brain damage looking back at it now. So that's what I was doing before.
Pretty typical for an advisor, right?
Yeah, I guess
activities, marketing activities, spend a lot of money, low return on investment.
And I was making good money, I thought. My biggest cases at the time were maybe $50,000, $75,000 commission cases, which I thought was pretty decent. But looking back at it now, from my perspective, what I'm doing now, the kind of business I'm doing now, the kind of relationships I'm having now, the kind of the amount of money I'm able to make in a short period of time, all sorts of other things that are happening with my relationships at home, being able to create time for what's most important, I would never go back to doing it the old way.
Okay. So now, how has your business changed as a result of working with Anthony Lombardi?
Well, before I met Anthony Lombardi, I had my own little team of specialists. I had my own attorney that I would work with. I had CPAs I would work with. I had a lot of other resources that would help me service end users or high net worth individuals. And anytime I would try to meet a CPA, thinking, hey, this CPA must have other clients like our mutual client here, and let's develop this relationship. I'll refer my clients to him. He'll refer his clients to me. That never, ever went anywhere. In fact, I looked at CPAs as deal killers, because every time I would meet an affluent business owner at one of my dinner workshops, anytime I presented any kind of planning idea that was relatively sophisticated, it would be over their heads, and they'd say, well, I have to run this by my guy, my CPA, and I would get really excited. But when I met the CPA, it just never, ever went anywhere. And then I'd get a phone call maybe a week later saying, hey, thanks so much for your time. We really like your idea. We're going to pass on it for now. Let's revisit in 6 months. And I had no idea what was happening behind the scenes, but I do now. And what was happening behind the scenes was the CPA would meet me, would see the idea, and if it was a great idea, why wouldn't the CPA bring a great idea to his client? So he really has a lot of motivation to not endorse my idea. And if it's a bad idea, it's a bad idea. So reality, CPAs have very limited interest in endorsing the ideas of third-party advisors, which is what I was. I was a third-party advisor stepping on the CPA's toes by meeting with his client without the CPA's approval, presenting ideas, and then hoping and praying that the CPA was going to say, wow, this is an amazing idea. Well, how come I've never met this Alex Sonkin guy before? He's a blessing to my firm, and I've got to introduce all my clients to him. That's just not the way the real world works. And after meeting Anthony Lombardi, he basically, he's been working with CPAs for the last 19 years or so. He took a year off 19 years ago and just decided I'm going to figure out how to work with these CPAs. I'm just going to go to lunch with them. And he spent a full year going to lunch with CPAs, really trying to figure out how they tick, what they needed. And essentially what he's done for me is he's translated, you know the book Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus, right?
Yes. Yes.
I don't know if anyone on this webinar has read this book or heard of this book, but basically the idea is, advisors, we're from Mars and CPAs are from Venus. They're just different. And what we as advisors need is for someone to help us translate, because we certainly know how to work with end users. Everyone on this webinar, I'm sure, knows how to work with end users. We know that what do end users need? Well, end users they want a predictable retirement. They don't want to lose their money in the market. They want, above market returns. They'd like to make a lot of money, but not with too much risk. So we know kind of what to work with, and so we've been trained over many, many decades on what questions to ask, how to have conversations with end users, how to get them to trust us, and then once that happens, they move their money to us, we manage it, or we sell them insurance, whatever it is. No one has really taught us how to look at a CPA and say, man, what wakes up this guy or gal at 4:30 in the morning? How can I help this business owner, this person, create a better life for themselves? Guess what? The answer is not CPAs don't need financial advisors to refer their clients to. That is not one of the top 5 things that wakes up a CPA at 4:30. This morning, there's a lot of CPAs that woke up at 4:30 in the morning freaking out about something, okay? They're in the end of their tax season. I guarantee you no CPA wakes up going, man, I wish I knew a financial advisor in town that I could refer some clients to, because my clients all need financial services. That is not a problem for CPAs. And so approaching a CPA with that mindset, which is kind of what we were doing, what I was doing, and what a lot of advisors are doing, it just doesn't work. And everyone on this webinar who's tried that knows it doesn't work. Now, if you're getting CPAs to refer you any clients at all, that means you're doing something at a very, very high level. What Anthony Lombardi showed me was not just how to get CPAs to refer clients to us. In fact, we tell CPAs, don't refer your best clients to anyone, including us. What Anthony Lombardi showed me is how to help a CPA get to where he wants to go, have a better quality of life. And that's exactly what I do now for a living. I help CPAs create a better quality of life. And the Anthony Lombardi Bootcamp system's given me all of the resources, all the tools to make that happen, where all I have to do is simply have conversations with CPAs. But the conversations I'm having with them now are completely different. They're similar to the conversations that you and I would have with an end user, where we're asking questions and we're directing the conversation. But those questions, those bullet points, those things that wake up CPAs in the morning are completely different than anything I ever thought that they were. So once we understand what those issues are, what those bullet points are, and how to address them in a conversation, all of a sudden CPAs are attracted to me. And now I work with CPAs. I help them design solutions for their biggest problem.
So what's in it for me, right?
Well, it's
CPA.
What's in it for the CPA, absolutely.
Right.
And what's in it for me is I am able to make an impact on the CPA's life. And I'm also able to help the CPA look amazing in the eyes of his very best clients. So the CPA becomes my client, not his clients. Now, I do work with his clients, which involves large tax planning ideas, selling a lot of life insurance, asset management, all those things. But it comes through the CPA, where the CPA gets all the credit. The CPA is the hero, and no one in the country is doing anything like this. Nobody. And it's just extremely refreshing. So to not have any competition is pretty cool. Now, the cool thing is when I started doing this, Anthony Lombardi was not featured in Accounting Web. Wasn't featured in, Think Advisor, in Accounting Today. I mean, here's my name, Alex Sonkin, partner Lombardi Group, talking about an event that we helped design years ago to coach and train our CPAs. And now this event has been featured in Accounting Today. It's been featured in other publications, but on CPA Academy. CPAs are flocking to this event, and the advisors that Anthony Lombardi is training are allowed to come to this event and bring their CPAs there, where a team of specialists is going to train and coach those advisors and their CPAs, and all the advisors have to do is basically engage with these CPAs and invite them to an event, and most of the work is done by people outside of the advisor. So it's a very, very unique concept.
So how has your personal life changed as a result of this shift?
Well, personal life, look at the screen right now. Anthony Lombardi, he's a guy who went from 860 clients essentially to zero, and now Anthony works with 4 CPAs. I work with about 6 CPAs. So think about that for a second. It used to be that I was managing a lot of clients. When I do a dinner event, I would have, 50, 60 people show up over 2 nights, and I'd be following up with 50 to 60 people, and let's say there was 30 set appointments. There's 30 people that I'm chasing around,
right,
trying to develop relationships with, and then I do another seminar. So that's another 30. Some of these advisors here on this webinar, you might have 500 clients, 600, 700 clients, or hundreds of clients. Think about that versus 5 clients, 5 CPAs. Each CPA might have 250 business owners. Each CPA might attract 10, 15 new clients each year. Every one of those clients that fits the criteria I'm looking for, let's say they're earning over $500,000 a year, paying tax of 6 figures or more, selling companies for millions of dollars. That's what I want. That's what I'm looking for. I want to help business owners reduce their taxes by 50%. I want to help business owners who are selling their companies reduce their tax bill by over 50%. That's exciting. Because if I do that,
sounds more interesting.
Because first of all, if I met a business owner without their CPA and I tried to present these ideas to them, it would never work, because they're sophisticated ideas, and these business owners don't understand sophisticated financial planning, but they trust their CPA.
Right.
So by developing a relationship with the most important CPAs in town, and then training them and coaching them and then showing them access, and we haven't even talked about the fact that Lombardi and the advisors that are going through this program, we have access to the very best law firms, the best specialists, the best resources in the country that we've been developing relationships for. Anthony's been doing this for almost 2 decades. These specialists want to work with me. They want to work with Tony. They want to work with these advisors going through the program, because we have CPAs. We have the biggest, most powerful CPAs in town. They want to work with those CPAs, and they work through those CPAs with us. So what we're able to do is bring these amazing ideas to the table through the CPA, make the CPA look good, help the CPA deliver these ideas to his most important clients, who, guess what? They don't want to pay taxes. They don't want to have inefficiencies. They want their CPA to help them with a lot of things. And we help the CPA help those business owners with a lot of things, because guess what? CPAs have no time. Just try to talk to one today. Try to talk to one this week or next week. See how much time they give you. They have no time. And so what we do with CPAs is we give them time. Same thing that Anthony Lombardi is doing with advisors. He's giving you time back. He's giving me time back. So you ask me, my quality of life, me managing 5 CPA relationships versus hundreds of end user relationships, me being able to close large cases, and in one case, in a matter of a few weeks, generate hundreds of thousands of dollars for my family, allows me to coach flag football, to coach basketball with my 9-year-old son, to do all sorts of things and not have to be in the office every day. I've got my life back. I think that's the thing that I'm seeing as we as advisors, affluent advisors, affluent CPAs, and affluent business owners. This is kind of the people we see. We all have one thing in common. We have traded our lives for our businesses. We are building our empire, and yet everything else is sacrificed. Time with my children, time with my family, time with my wife. All these things become less important, because what's important is I need to build this incredible company and generate as much money as possible, and everything else is sacrificed. What we found is that is really, no one even likes that. Advisors aren't happy, CPAs aren't happy, their affluent business owners are happy. yeah, making money is fun, but not at the expense of everything else. And so what Anthony Lombardi has shown me, not just shown me, but literally changed my life, is he's shown me a way to make a lot of money in a little bit of time so that I can have my time back and invest in the most important thing I have, which is my relationship with my faith, my relationship with my wife and my children, and really truly invest in those relationships, not having to worry about money. Because the worry of money forces us to sacrifice all those things. So guess what? The CPA has the same problem. His affluent business owners have the same problem. And we have a platform to talk to these people about how to create more time, which is what everyone wants. Anthony Lombardi has shown me and has trained me and is training advisors around the country how to create this uniquely precious commodity, which is time. Look, we've all been on this webinar for 16 minutes. I can't get the 16 minutes back. You can't get the 16 minutes back. No one gets the 16. We can all make more money, but we can't get the 16 minutes back. How do we create time? Anthony Lombardi has shown me the secret of creating time, and he's showing advisors and he's showing CPAs. So this is what's happening here is something that is making massive changes on a multi-generational scale, because when we teach a CPA or an advisor how to do this, they're going to teach their children, they're going to teach their clients, they're going to teach those business owners, and it's starting to spread, and it's making an impact on the world.
Okay, we're about halfway through or over halfway through. Are there any questions out there? If so, please type them into the chat box and we'll get you some answers. And Alex, you'd mentioned this whole approach is really revolutionary, and it's very innovative in this whole financial services. It seems like it's a better way, obviously.
Well, you know, it is revolutionary, because let's just look at it this way. Every one of us, every advisor has a story to tell. You know, when someone asks you, what do you do for a living? You know, what do you say? You know, what does a typical top advisor say when they say, what do you do for a living? Well, you know, we're an asset management firm. We've got the best asset management structures out there, or we're the best with life insurance. We have access to the best life insurance products, the best annuity products out there. Guess what? The guy who just graduated and just got his Series 7, Series 63, Series 6 license, when someone asks him what he does for a living, he may just say the same thing. And so we have over 1 million advisors out there going around saying, hey, we got the best asset management, we got the best insurance, we got all this stuff. No one's really differentiating themselves. Everyone's the same. Whereas someone asks me or one of the advisors who are going through the Lombardi boot camp,
what would you tell them?
What I do for a living is I help the top CPA firms in town solve complicated tax problems for their very biggest, most complicated clients. And we arm these CPAs with the very, very best resources, the best tax attorneys, the best specialists in the country, and we help them. We basically act like the radiology department. You know, when you go to a doctor, when someone goes to a doctor and they're very, very sick, let's just not say you or me, someone out there, Mr. Joe Smith is really sick, he's going to go. Do we have any Joe Smiths on this webinar? Okay, good. Goes to the doctor because they're deathly ill. They don't know what's wrong. And that doctor, what's that doctor going to do? Say, wow, you look really sick. I'm not sure what's wrong with you. What are we going to do? We're going to go get a X-ray. We're going to get a CAT scan. And then what are we going to do? We're going to have a radiologist look at it and then figure out what's wrong. And then what are we going to do? We're going to bring in the specialist to solve it. Well, the CPA is that general practitioner, okay? His clients don't really know anything about how a CPA operates. They don't know what's behind the CPA. But let me just tell you, the CPA is incredibly inefficient because he's asked to do so many things. And just like an attorney, just like a doctor, they don't know every aspect of the law, every aspect of medicine. A CPA does not know every possible thing in the tax code, because the tax code over 80,000 pages long, and he certainly doesn't know every possible solution to every tax problem out there. They just don't know, and none of them do. And so they need help. And who can they go to for help? Well, they can go to other CPAs that are all trapped in the same box. They can go to attorneys that are essentially, most attorneys are just selling trust. They're just salespeople. They're just selling legal products, legal concepts. They're not experts. Where do they go? They might find an expert. Let's say they find a world-class specialist in town. What are they going to do with this guy? Are they going to refer their best client? Would you refer your best clients to a third-party specialist and hope that you would keep those clients from leaving you? It's scary to them. So CPAs know that referrals are scary. Even when a referral goes well, let's say they refer the client to me and I fix the problem, do you think that that client's going to be bragging about me? He's not bragging about the CPA. So all of a sudden, we're talking here about some of the inefficiencies that CPAs are dealing with, and we've been trained how to solve those inefficiencies to the point where I'm working with CPAs whose smallest client is worth $350 million. I'm working with CPAs who are the top CPAs in town who would be laughing about me behind my back 5-6 years ago, that now introduce me as their most trusted resource, as one of their best friends. So something has happened, and that something is Anthony Lombardi. I mean, there's no way I could have done this without him. The cases I'm closing, the kinds of business owners I'm dealing with would never give me the time of day. Right. Because these business owners, look, the reality is we as advisors, the top advisors that we see, the top advisors that I've had the pleasure of working with, they may be really, really good, but they can't get a $50 million business owner who doesn't know them to drop everything and come to a meeting. That $50 million business owner does not care about financial advisors. He cares about his family, cares about his business, probably cares about his business the most, 9 out of 10 times. And he needs to see a CPA at least once or twice a year. That's where it's at. And so if you want to work with that $50 million, $100 million, $25 million, $75 million business owner, don't go to him because he's got all sorts of issues that you have no idea how to fix. We don't know how to fix, but you need to go to a CPA. And if you plug into the Lombardi Boot Camp, you will now know exactly which CPAs to talk to, what to say to the CPA, how to have lunch number 1, lunch number 2, lunch number 100 with that CPA, how to plug into the educational system, how to get the CPA educated without doing that in front of his clients. You do not want to embarrass a CPA and teach him anything in front of his client because it's going to make him look bad. We educate the CPAs behind the scenes, but it has to be in the confines of a relationship. So this is really where Anthony Lombardi changes people's lives, because it shows you the world in terms of relationships. Now, it's not me and you, Jeff. It's the relationship between me and you. It's not me and my CPAs. It's the relationship between me and my CPA. It's not me and my wife or me and my children. It's the relationships between us, and that's where we want to do the work. The work is in the relationship. You want to close a case with the biggest CPA in town, with his biggest client who's about to sell his company for whatever, you can literally save that guy 99% of his tax. We know how to do that. But we can't do that without the relationship with the CPA. And so the world has gotten so transactional that we've forgotten our most basic skill, which is relationship building. All you have to do is go to the park with your kids today and watch 7-year-olds, 8-year-olds, 6-year-olds, 9-year-olds build relationships with one another without any quid pro quo. It's so natural. We just forgot. Life has churned us out into these transactional robots that we think we're attractive, but we're actually repulsive. What's really attractive is real people building relationship the way Anthony Lombardi teaches. And that has completely changed my life, not just from the money, but from my family, my faith, the way I interact with human beings. It's made me more attractive.
Okay, Alex, so what would you recommend to the advisors here on this webinar to create that leverage now and work with CPAs and their best clients?
Look, what I'm seeing, and we get a chance to see, and I'm members of a number of associations in this country where there are some of the top advisors in the country are there, and they can't do this. They can't work with CPAs the way we do. What Anthony Lombardi has done is completely revolutionized the entire financial services profession, the industry, how advisors work with CPAs, how CPAs should be working with their clients. It is completely revolutionary. There's absolutely nothing like it, and I have gone to a lot of different training programs. I've seen a lot. What I could tell you is, if you're an advisor, if you're listening to this, if you've tried to work with CPAs in the past, and you're hearing this message and you're saying, wow, there's something here that's vibrating with me. I could really sense there's authenticity to what these people are talking about. You need to come out to our next boot camp. Anthony Lombardi does these boot camps. I think the next one is April 18th and 19th. It is here in Carlsbad, California. Let's see, how do you get access to this thing? Contact Jeff Perry here, 760-602-0832. Jeff will help you answer some questions. The boot camp, what does it cost? Like $799.
Yeah, 2 days.
Eddie Herrera is asking how much the boot camp costs. It's $799 for 2 days. All you have to do is type in your box, save my seat, or call Jeff Perry, and he'll answer some of those questions for you, and he'll help you get started.
So what will these advisors learn by attending this boot camp? What exactly are they going to get from this boot camp?
Well, first of all, you're going to get a chance to invest a couple days with Anthony Lombardi. I mean, I know, and I've had the pleasure of working with life coaches and coaches out there that charge $50,000 a year. They charge $75,000 a year. They charge, $30,000 for 10 hours of time. You're going to get 2 days with Anthony Lombardi, who, in my opinion, is one of the very best coaches in the country. He's definitely the #1 relationship coach in the country. In fact, I don't know anyone else that actually teaches relationship building in any way. So to say that he's the best, I think he might be the only one that's doing anything like this. In the first half day, I've seen advisors literally just go, wow, that right there, I just got in a couple hours enough to make this is just going to change my life. He is a very unique person. If you think about our profession, how many advisors do you know that would be willing to take a year off of work and just go and meet CPAs for lunches the whole year just to try to crack the code? I'm not patient enough to do it. Every advisor I know, except for Anthony Lombardi, is not patient enough to do it. We're just not patient, right? We just want to go out there and sell and make money and just hit targets and excel and do what we do. Anthony Lombardi is completely a unique person and a blessing to our entire profession. I'm standing on top of his shoulders. Any success I have, any success that the advisors going through this program have, we all have to give credit to Anthony Lombardi, because without him, we'd still be doing this, slamming our heads against the wall. But or most advisors just simply do is they just stop working with CPAs altogether. Or we meet CPA or advisors who are, oh, I'm getting some referrals from CPAs. Well, what kind of, are they referring you their worst clients, or their middle of the road clients, or their C and D clients, or are they giving you their A clients?
They probably don't go very far with those.
Well, because first of all, no CPA would ever want to refer their A clients.
Right.
And part of our whole message to them is they shouldn't, because it doesn't do them any good to refer their A clients to anyone outside of themselves. They need to take the credit for those A clients, because why? We want the CPA to deliver so much value to their very best clients that their very best clients are bragging about them at the best country clubs in town, which is really one of the key goals of the program. When I start working with a CPA, that's where I want to get to. So if he already has his best clients bragging about him at the best country club in town, he probably doesn't need my help. But the matter of fact is that 99.99999% of CPAs out there do not have that experience, and they absolutely need my help. And so the question is, do I have the time and space to help these CPAs? And I don't. I only have time to work with maybe 5. So if I pick up a new CPA, I have to drop one of my 5. And that's one of the reasons I felt very comfortable and blessed to share what I'm doing with other advisors out there, because even though you guys go out there and meet 50, 60 CPAs, we had over 40 CPAs we were working with. We didn't want to work with that many. So we're basically saturated, we're full. And so I'm very comfortable helping other advisors and teaching them, what I've learned and my experience, because I can't, you can go get as many CPAs as you want. I don't need any more. I can't handle it. And this country's got a lot of CPAs. And once you start seeing these CPAs as business owners, as people, as human beings who need help, and you realize that you actually have the ability to really change their lives, and you start caring about these people, that's when the magic starts to happen. Because when they realize that you're not, yeah, there's money involved for me. They know that there's money involved for me, but that's not the primary thing that I'm there for. My primary goal is to help these people the same way that my primary goal used to be to help the end user out and really care and show that love, and they connected with that love and they trusted me. Now I'm giving that energy to the CPA, and they can feel it. They know it's real. I'm real from meeting number 1 to meeting number 50. It's real. It's not BS, and that's what makes this program so powerful, because that's really not happening out there. Outside of what I see out there, most training programs is just, here's a fancy sales pitch. Here's how you coerce this other person into doing what you want. The power of persuasion. This is not the power of persuasion. This is real stuff. This is CPAs who need help, who have real serious problems that wake them up at 4:35 in the morning. And now I have the knowledge and the skill set to make a difference in their lives. And yeah, these relationships monetize. They have a better quality of life. I have a better quality of life, and there's no competition. And it's just, it's fun.
That's great. Well, let's wrap this up. And I just want to say one more thing about the boot camp. It's we're going to limit this to a small, intimate group, and there are only a few seats left. So I'd like to speak with you. Give me a call. Write to me with the information that we see on the slide here, 760-602-0832, jperry@myperfectclient.com, and let's talk. Let's talk about your practice, and if this is something you really want to do, you really need to be at this boot camp. This will change everything in your life and in your practice. Okay, so if we have any more questions, it's going to wrap this up if we don't have any more questions. All right, Alex, thank you very much for your time. I know your time is precious. Time is very precious to all of us, so I appreciate everybody on this taking 30 minutes out of your day, too. And I hope to hear from you soon.
Thanks, Jeff. Thanks, everyone. Have a great day.
Take care.